Guys, welcome back to In and Out Talks. We got another special guest today, Mr. Jason Blanchard. Jason, go ahead and tell us all about yourself, where you're from, how you got here, and how you ended up playing for the San Diego
All
Padres.
right, yeah. So grew up in Kingwood. Went to Kingwood Park High School with Jordan and Mitch, and out of high school didn't really have many offers, anything to really go play. I was 140 pounds. 5'10", it's like, all right.
5'10" dealing, though.
Yeah.
5'10" dealing.
And so I went to Rhode Island with Jordan. He kind of helped me get there, and just did not work out for me,
No, it didn't. Yeah, I know.
It was like,
that's
I felt
half the battle, though.
the talent was like there, but I was just like, dude, like 18 years old, other side of the country. Like,
No, it's a definite culture shock, for sure. It's the exact opposite of Texas.
yeah.
It is the exact opposite
And
of
then
Texas.
I got up there, got like kind of domed up about a lot of things, like trying to just do a million different things, pitching, didn't work out. Transferred to the University of Rhode Island, or not University of Rhode Island, sorry, McLennan Community College back in Texas, down in Waco.
Powerhouse JUCO,
Yeah, we were dogs. Number one in the country, sorry.
Yeah.
Lost.
Junction.
yeah, we got there though. We got there.
For sure.
And then had a really good year there. Put on some weight, got in the weight room, and then ended up having a pretty decent amount of offers out of there, and chose Lamar because it was they didn't have to pay for school if I went to Lamar, and so that was really nice for me. And then got to Lamar honestly, and was terrible again. Which was, I was like, oh,
shocking.
No, oh no. But it was like in the fall, so I kind of got to bounce back, and then ended up having a good spring in my junior year. Senior year, kind of balled, had a good senior year. And
you had a devastatingly good senior year, too.
Yeah. I was like, dude, if I don't ball right here, like,
now,
it's over.
I think I went to your season opener. I think your senior year.
Yeah, dude.
And I was there watching. I was with Steve, and I was with your mom, and I was watching. And I was like, I missed the bomb you gave up in the first inning.
Yeah, dude.
I had seen nobody even come close to making barrel contact after that. But like you, Dyson, I was like, it's hard to believe this is the same Jason that I saw in Rhode Island.
Huge.
You also were like 20 pounds bigger, and you had a full-on facial
Yeah,
hair.
dude, I could grow a beard. It was crazy.
You were different. You were literally a man at that point.
I grew up, which I was like, all right.
Yeah, I think your dad. I was talking to your stepdad, and I was like, or Steve. I was talking to him, and I was like, so what's he's thinking about the draft? Like, what's going on? And he was like, yeah, he's kind of concerned about it, kind of not. Like, you hear whispers every now and then, especially in the fall, and then they literally leave you alone, they ghost you. And I remember telling Steve, I was like, dude, you need to get an agent. I was like, whoever drafted him needs to get. Whoever drafted his old teammates, get his agent or somebody and just do it. Yeah, you can't just free ball it. I mean, unless he's throwing 104, which is not possible.
I was not. No.
Yeah. So and then I remember you getting drafted, and I remember just screaming and hollering. I was like, this fucking guy. I was like, Kingwood boy. Like,
yeah,
no one would have saw us coming. And I was like, but we all deep down, a few of us that played with you knew. You were capable of doing it. Especially me, my senior year of high school. I was like. I remember when Brucey said like you were gonna be our ace, I was like,
what?
I was like, he's never seen a game, so like I've never seen him pitch in a game, so I was like, there's a lot of faith. I was like,
yeah, dude, that was kind of crazy. Even in high school, I was like, all right, this is like my first year, like actually like pitching, and then we go out there, and I was like, oh, dude. I think I can do this.
Yeah, exactly. Bringing it all together, lefty,
that was
high-tailed, hard slider. I never got to face you either. Actually, I think I faced you once, but it was a walk.
I walked you, freshman year. I was like, oh, dude, another walk.
But it was good. So tell me, like you state that you weren't really well sought out in high school, right? And then it was a little bit tough getting noticed after you left Rhode Island. So you ended up at McLennan, and then from McLennan you did great. What was that experience like? Going in high school and realizing you had so few offers, especially like since you knew you had what it takes.
So I like in high school I was just so like undersized because like I don't really know like the average fastball velo for like high schoolers and stuff now, but I mean I think I was touching like maybe 88 you know, like maybe. I was probably 84, 86 pretty consistently, which like from the left-hand side in high school, you know, that's usually enough to like get you a look from a D1 school or something like that. But I was like, you know, $140 soaking wet and like not going and doing all the showcases and stuff like that because I didn't really have anything to showcase. And so I kind of like in my head, like I'm getting the results that I want to get. I'm like, dude, I'm striking all these kids out. Like nobody's really hitting the ball hard. I'm like,
yeah, you were.
Dude, why is nobody offering me? And then I look back at it. I'm like, well, you were 140 pounds. Like you had no like projectability. You'd never been in the weight room and stuff like that. And then you really didn't do anything outside of high school to like get those looks. And so I was like, okay. Once I like look back at it, I'm like, oh, well, now that makes sense because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, well,
a lot of parents and kids don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, which is the craziest thing. Like I was like, if I go out there and I just keep playing well, you know, somebody will come find me, and that's not always the case unless you're that guy, you know.
Exactly.
And in Houston, there are so many guys that are like good enough, but like depends on who sees you. But
so how did you separate yourself from others? Like, right, so you said you didn't really go out and play, but you obviously were still good enough to go out and get a D1 offer and a D1 scholarship, right? You came to my alma mater, URI, for your freshman year. But like going from, you know, getting to URI, getting to McLennan, going from McLennan to Lamar, going from Lamar to the draft, what were some of those key adjustments that separated you as a pitcher? Like, what did you learn or what did you change?
Yeah. I mean, I always felt like stuff-wise, like I knew like, okay, my fastball plays and like my breaking ball plays. So like I'm never really worried about like the stuff as a pitcher. But then you start like, so like you're in the locker room, like you're looking around and you're like, I'm the smallest dude in here, you know, like all these guys, like it's so what had to change for me to get where I wanted to be from like high school to Rhode Island and then Rhode Island to JUCO and then going back to D1 and then getting the draft was just like literally outworking everyone. And so I got to Rhode Island and kind of got like punched in the mouth and just, you know, you come out of high school, you're like, you have a D1 offer, and you're like, yeah, dude, I know what I'm doing. I've got this all figured out.
You really don't think you can get better or learn
No,
better.
you don't even know what your ceiling is. You're like, yeah dude, like I did it. Exactly. And then you realize like, oh my God, there are so many people that are so much better than me
shit on you.
and outwork me by so much. And so after I got like my teeth kicked in at Rhode Island my first year, I was like, all right, dude, like you got to get in the gym. Like you got to throw harder and you can't like run out of gas, you know, you got to like that. So that was what I thought separated me the most because like the stuff was always going to be there. And like some of that is like, you want to say like God-given, like, okay, like, yeah, I just happen to hold a fastball like this and it jumps, you know, it just does that. I didn't do anything special to get that. And then, but the weight room, so it's like, then you pair that, like, so you've got like some God-given talent and then you pair it with the work ethic and then you just see yourself start to like rise and rise. And like you get more athletic and you're like, dang, like I run faster, jump higher, throw harder than like everybody now because I spent so much time in the weight room doing all these things that like not a lot of other people necessarily wanted to do. And I was lucky with like genetics and stuff like that like you're predisposed to be like a little more athletic, stuff like that. But the weight room, just like putting on weight and like learning about my body was like, that was what
I think also, the kinesiology of learning to do it the right way. So you're doing it, you paired your work ethic with a more efficient way to work out. You work smarter and harder versus like, hey, let's just pump iron.
Yeah, like you can't just go in there and like hammer out bicep curls because then your arm's going to hurt.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So it's like, okay, what do I need to be doing? And then just hit the ground running and like do it as hard as you can. That was what really got me to where I wanted to be at least.
Right, and I think it goes to show because like you take that work ethic that you had because you've always had a hard work ethic because I think at the end of the day you kind of view yourself as like the underdog, always having to prove yourself. Yeah. In a room full of giants, right? I mean, make no mistake, like it was kind of the same way with me in Rhode Island. Like I show up, you know, coming off of my top dog senior year in high school, no one cares.
565.
No one cared.
And
no one cared. No one was wearing their state ring, even though they all won. You know, they played like 13 games in New Hampshire and win a state ring. And I go up there, and I'm thinking like I'm a Southern Texas kid about to whoop up on these Northern boys.
I felt the exact same way.
And then I come in, and I think the first person I saw swing that was Mike Horn, who ends up being our home run leader.
Yeah.
And this dude's like Terminator and just absolutely crushes and kills the ball. And I swear to God, I couldn't even fucking see it.
Here you got in the box against Tyler Wilson.
Yeah, okay. Facing Will Moyers, Steve Moyers, Lou DeStacio, a couple of guys that came back that were drafted and ended up playing in the bigs. You know, we had faced a couple of guys working out with like Nick Ahmed, going up and challenging guys like Chris Hess.
Yeah, you're like, these boys, like, oh, dude, we play baseball in Texas, but like,
yeah.
These Rhode Island boys, dude, they can still ball.
The best in New England's coming in, and they're competing with the best. I mean, we're talking guys painting corners, purposely throwing it in on your hand, sawing you off. We got catchers that are actually expanding the zone.
Just like baseball, you're like, this is not the baseball that like I've been playing in high school.
Correct. This is like, they're like, welcome. Like, we are adults.
Yeah.
We are 21, 22-year-olds. We're going to pound you as a freshman, even though we're coming off of 80 games from summer ball.
Mm-hmm.
and so, you get into that. And it is. You're like you said, it's like they kick your teeth in. And I remember, like, Serrato saying, like, hey, the center field position is open for whoever earns it. And it's me and two other guys. And I get there the first week, and I'm like, I actually might go home.
Right?
I actually might go home. This is brutal. Like, you're not thinking, like, I was like, this ain't University of South Carolina, this ain't Florida State, but, it's, at the end of the day, it's still D1, still mid-major. We still play those teams, and, no one cares that you're from Texas, Florida, California, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine. Like, the best of the best will play.
Yeah,
and
if you can ball, you can ball.
You can ball, exactly.
You got it.
That's where I literally will, like, assume that, like, it doesn't matter where you're from. You got it, you put the work ethic, you do everything right, you can go out and ball, right? So I would like to know the difference, well, I guess also our viewers would like to know, what do you think in your eyes is the difference between high school and college ball, and then from college ball and pro ball?
Yeah, for sure. The jumps are crazy.
They're crazy, for sure.
So like high school to college, the biggest jump is just like the physicality of it. Like
boys to men.
Yeah, it's like an 18-year-old versus now with like NIL, transfer portal, after COVID and everything. You can have an 18-year-old versus a 24-year-old, And I'm like, this is insane. So you've got like kids versus essentially like grown men. And so like that's the biggest one, is like just how hard guys can hit the ball and how hard guys like consistently can throw the ball, stuff like that. It's just like the level of like stuff and like potential just skyrockets when you get to college. Mm-hmm. That I'm talking about at that D1 level, because there's a fall off.
Correct. Everyone knows.
But then you get to pro ball, and sometimes it almost, like my first year of pro ball felt like I took almost like a step back from being in college, because I was like, these kids are like incredibly, incredibly talented, but you go back that first year, you're playing against 18-year-olds again. Now, these are the most skilled 18-year-olds you've ever seen. They're coming straight off the island where they've been throwing rocks and hitting them with sticks, So like the
unrefined diamonds.
It's incredible like what they can do, but it's just so unrefined.
Yeah.
And then as you kind of climb in the minor leagues, you get to like
see everybody's top dog.
Yeah, you get to like AA, AAA. You're like, okay, some of these guys have made it. Like this guy in the box is big leaguer, And so it's like, okay, he was that, 20-year-old that was super physical, super talented, and now super smart. It's like guys get in the box and they have an approach, and you're not going to break them from that approach. You can throw the nastiest 0-1 slider, snap this thing off, and if it's a ball off, they weren't looking for a slider right there, they're not going to swing at it.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter. And so it's like the hitters and pitchers are so much smarter. They know what they do. They know how they're going to do it, and they have a plan for everything. And so I think the jump from high school to college is just the physicality of it and like the raw talent and ability. And then once you get into pro ball, everybody there is good. Like everybody got there for some kind of reason. Yeah. And you start to see like the intelligence come into that. And then you see like the freaks that go out there, like the guys that were just number one overall, immensely talented, and they have the work ethic, and they're crazy smart, and you're like, that's big leaguer. That is what it looks like. So it's fun to like see it like develop for me.
On how much going into, so I would say, when I was in high school, like, we never looked at game film. We just showed up. We heard about
Yeah.
it. Right. We played. We crushed it. Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And, you go to college, OB, my coach, he was doing, like, a little bit of game film. We would review the,
Somebody else does, like, the scouting.
Yeah, exactly.
They're telling you what they see.
Exactly, yeah. Or they have, like, little videos, and you can go and look at their past games, right? Especially the big SEC, ACC schools. And you get, you have, like, a little card or whatever for whoever, right? Going into the professional league, how can you prepare? Like, what's the difference between your preparation compared to
night and day? The technology that we have now to, like, evaluate hitters, or for hitters to evaluate
pitchers
pitchers
in like 5 years. It's crazy.
Even from when I got drafted to now, the amount of tech that we can use is nuts. So we have all kinds of data on every hitter. So I can go watch, like, so we used to face, like, Corbin Carroll, center fielder for the D-backs.
Yeah.
He got drafted the same year as me, and so I faced him, like, kind of going up until he got to the big leagues. And I could go back and watch every single one of his at-bats. I can filter it and see, like, okay, how does he do against me when I throw him an 0-0 breaking ball? Okay, what did he do with this? And then you've got, like, heat maps of, like, hot and cold zones. You can see all of his numbers against every kind of pitch. So I'm like, okay, what does he slug on fastballs in? Stuff like that. And so you can build an entire scouting report for, like, every single player on that roster, because you can look at every at-bat they've had that year or years before, everything they've done against you, everything they do against guys like you, what they do in counts, what they do in, like, day games, what they do in night games, hot weather, cold weather. You have every possible filter you can put on it to create, like, the scouting report that you want. Like, there is no piece of data that you don't have access to.
That is insane.
It's crazy.
It's all crazy. Like on your phone or your laptop or whatever.
Yeah, we have like just a database essentially that we get access to, and, like, other teams have different ones, stuff like that. But you can, like, there's everything. There's literally everything.
There's literally no excuse for your preparation. It's all
everything's no excuse. And they tell us that all the time. They're like, they show everybody how to use it. They're like, it is right in front of you. We are giving you a cheat sheet for a test.
Yeah.
Use it.
Yeah.
Use it.
Do you have a lot of guys that do, or a lot of guys that don't? Or is it like 50-50?
Some guys don't want to because they feel like they get, like, too in their head about it.
They're like, out.
They're like, because, like, say you run into a guy that just rakes, and you go look at his heat map and it's just all red, and you're like, well, how do I get him out? Well, okay, dude, the best of the best are getting on base. They're not getting on base, getting a hit 3 out of 10 times. Like, he's gonna get out. He's gonna, like, you go up there and you throw it right down the middle. You probably got a 60% chance of getting him.
Yeah.
And so for me, I always just try and, like, find a few things, like some bullet points, and that's what I want to work on. Like, I don't want to, like, psych myself out about anybody. Like, I don't ever want to think, like, somebody's, like, too good to get out or anything like that.
So you're a reliever right now, right?
Yeah. This last year I was coming out.
How do you have a game plan for every batter, or just for the top guys, or? Especially since you don't know when you're going in, right?
Me personally, I have a scouting report for everybody in the lineup that night, and I would do it. I would go in to, like, the lineup changes a little bit every night because, like, guys need different innings and playing time and at bats. But a guy with us for the Padres who was actually in the big leagues and then was back down in Double-A this year, coming off Tommy John, Daniel Camarena. You might probably remember him. He hit a grand slam off of Max Scherzer. He was a relief pitcher, got an AB, grand slam off Scherzer. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But he helped me a ton this year, like, big league vet. Like, he's done it. He's been around for a long time. Just haven't, like, learned how to prepare. And so we would sit there and we would go through every single hitter in the lineup, watch a video, write down our few bullet points, like, how we want to attack him, because he's also a left-handed pitcher.
Okay.
And so I would just sit there and listen to him. I'm like, you tell me what you see, because you've done it, you've done this, like. So we'd have our full approach broken down for, like, every single hitter in the lineup, no matter what we'd face. And then getting hot in the pen, getting loose, we'd have an iPad out there. And he's like, all right, you've got these 3 guys coming up. This guy hates spin. This guy has slow hands. You can just blow him away if you get it up. And, like, this guy doesn't see a changeup. So, like, just change speeds. And so we just run through that consistently as you're coming into the game. And I noticed, at least for me, that it really started to work. Because I get on the mound and I'm like, okay, I've already taken this test. You can't hit a fastball if I throw it up in the zone. Here come 3 of them. All right, like go sit down. Strike 3, you're done.
Yeah.
You know? Like it was crazy how much like the prep led to like success for me.
So I would say, from a hitter's point of view, once I know my research about a pitcher and I apply my approach based off of my knowledge, right? When I get into the game, I'm not changing. I'm not deviating. I don't care if this guy's got something new that I haven't seen. Like, I will not deviate because to me, that's too big of a mental jump. Now, for you, since you're in the pen and you're obviously on the iPad and you're evaluating these guys, do you change your game plan going in based on like in-game adjustments that hitters have made or the situation or how he's doing that night?
Yeah, sometimes I'll go out there and I'm just feeling myself. You know, like you're just having a night. I'm like, dude, I'm 95 right now. And there's not a single person in that lineup that can catch up to my fastball.
Right.
You know, it's just tonight. It's just playing, and so you'll have those nights where it's just like more of like an eye test kind of thing. So like if I say this guy hammers breaking balls and I drop one in there 1-0 and he is just like fooled. It's a bad take, or like he's like uncomfortable in the box, and like I see that, or like I pick up on that. Then I'm like, okay, like let's hammer this. Like whatever's going on, like I don't know if the lights are in his eyes or what it is. He is not seeing that pitch tonight. And so it's kind of like those quick like in-game ones where it's just you see something, like you recognize something. Or like say he's a great fastball hitter.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe he went out last night, he's a little hungover. He's not catching up to it tonight. Right. And I'm just gonna feed him that. I'm trying to feed them whatever they're not handling that night.
Oh man, that's nice. So what are you doing right now that you're in off season?
Oh, dude, just working out. Grinding, gritting it out in Scottsdale, Arizona. Real tough place to be.
Yeah, I hear it's like the ghetto of the gods. Yeah. You know. So, what would you say is the best thing a high school kid can do to get recruited to go to college?
Oh yeah, for sure. So like I mentioned it earlier with like the showcases and stuff. If you don't have something to showcase, do not go to showcases. Because what they're going to do is they're going to see you. They're going to be like, all right, what has this kid got? And they're just going to put an X on your name. They're not going to come back and see you. Whereas if they see you at like a tournament or something and you're like maybe not the most like physically imposing body, but like you look up and you're 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and you stole the bag, it's like, okay, like this kid's intriguing to me. Whereas if you just go out there and you don't hit home runs in the showcase, you run like a subpar 60, and your pull down velo across the infield is below average, it's like, why would I come back and see him?
Exactly.
And then I would say get in the weight room as early as you can, you know, like do all the things that other people aren't doing at your age.
Properly, of course.
Yeah, like find somebody, and it's going to cost money and it's going to cost time, and like it's an investment for sure in your future, but you know, the few $1,000s that you spend to improve yourself at baseball could come back tenfold when you don't pay for college, you know? I mean, I would say though, you know, don't go to showcases if you don't have anything to showcase. Get in the weight room, eat as much as you can, and then find what works for you. Find somebody that knows what they're doing, has done it before, and can kind of get you on that right path. Like don't try and do it by yourself. You do not have to do it by yourself. There are so many people that can help you, and there are so many people like me, Jordan, and Mitch that want to help you, that don't want you to make the same mistakes that we did, or like not know the things that we know now that can get you somewhere easier than just like throwing shots in the dark.
Exactly. Sometimes it did feel like that. You know?
Oh, dude, yeah, you're firing off emails with like some prospect video, and you're like, dude, they're just deleting these.
Yeah.
Like, this coach is seeing
they're leaving me on red
and
constantly.
deleting this. Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? It's like, is this going to work?
So, also, now from a collegiate scale, what do you think college JUCO guys, maybe even high school guys that are on the next level should do to get
to pro ball?
Get to pro ball.
Exactly. That's where you need to become like a student of the game. And like, there are people with the raw ability to just get there. But if you're like on that fringe level of like, I'm a good college player, but will I be able to cut it in pro ball? That's where you need to really learn about yourself and just hammer the things that you do well, and hammer the things that you don't. Because there's so many different things that can separate you.
Right.
And there's so much technology out there that there's really not an excuse to not know who you are as a player. Like, for me, I'm an undersized left-handed pitcher with 2 really good breaking balls and a fastball that plays above what it is. That was like me coming out of college. It was like potential to add more velo, good feel for the breaking ball. So I'm like, okay, if I can beat people with fastballs and I throw good breaking balls, let's do that. You don't need to. I don't need to add like some devastating cutter that I think I see a big leaguer throwing, because that's not who I am.
Yeah.
That's not what I do well. I'm going to do the things that I do well to get seen, get noticed, and then get to that next level. So just hammer down on those things.
Yeah. So going back a little bit to a darker road, like you got your TJ, right? Obviously, a lot of people assume that surgery, that injury is like, you can't come back from it. It's very hard to, right?
For sure.
So how did you, what was your mindset like battling back, coming back, and now you've had one full, successful, healthy season? I mean, that must have felt great. But like, how hard was that road to get to where we are now?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was tough, dude. Just like tearing my UCL. I'm like, dude, is this in my career? Like, like, where am I going? When am I getting back? But I think, looking back on it now, it was almost 3 years ago. It ended up being a blessing for me, because I was doing a lot of things pitching wise, kind of getting by like on talent and just what I'd always done. And so having TJ and having a full year where you can't do anything but like lift weights and train and then finally start throwing, you're getting no competition anywhere. It's just like training, essentially. You get that full year to just clean up everything that you're doing wrong. So I fixed my hips, I fixed my arm action, like I cleaned up all kinds of stuff, like pitch grips. You can change everything that you want to change in that year. And so had I not blown out, I think I probably, a little bit down the road, probably still would have happened. And so I'm glad that it was like a little bit earlier in my career, and it kind of gave me a chance to like revamp who I am as a pitcher, Yeah. So I was like 92, 93, and I was like, okay, well, if I clean up my hips and clean up my arm action, dude, like I've got the athleticism to just add velo naturally.
Correct.
And I come back in this last year, I'm running up to like 96, almost 97.
Post TJ.
And so it's not the surgery that makes you throw harder. It's that full year of rehab and like learning about yourself and cleaning up all of your deficiencies.
Right. I think, you really had to learn more about your own body and
100%.
Dive into yourself, find who you are, how to make yourself better. And that's, a lot of times it's a hard thing to do, because a lot of people don't like to admit their own faults.
No.
They don't like to work on themselves, right? They want to admit, like, I just need to do this more.
It's so easy to focus on all of the things that you do
Negative.
well. I'm like, yeah, dude, I can throw a fastball by a lot of people. Yeah, but your changeup sucks. So it's like, okay, well, I want to throw fastballs today. Like, no, you need to throw changeups. Like, don't work on the thing. Like, work on the things you already do well, but like really hammer.
Like, polish them.
Yeah,
but
become well-rounded.
Exactly. All right, so one of our favorite segments at the end now that we're starting to do is your favorite experience baseball-wise. It doesn't have to be appropriate. Doesn't have to be about baseball. I mean, we would like it to be about baseball. Yeah. It could be college-based or whatever, but your favorite experience by far.
Okay.
Or hilarious. Ledoux had a hilarious one, but
I've got some ones that I can't share.
That's fair.
But
we all have a couple of those that I can't share. But a good one. What are your personal favorites?
I'll give you like an on the field one and then like an off the field one. So like my first year of pro ball was like the most fun I think I've ever had playing baseball. Shout out the 2019 Tri-City Dust Devils. Dude, that team and the people on that team it was such a grind, and it was so shitty. Like the travel, the hotels, but like the guys that we had there, dude, nothing like it. We still, like, everybody that I played with on that team, we always just bring up like what we did. And so like I guess a specific one from that team was in Vancouver, Canada, Unreal City. So we're like, okay, we gotta go out while we're here.
Yeah.
So we played 3 series there, three-game series. We went 0-9 because all 3 of those series lined up on the weekends. And there's this bar called the Roxy in downtown Vancouver, and we went there and got absolutely torn up every single night that we were there, and we did not care about what was going on at that field the next day because we were like, it was in that point of like, dude, we were having so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, we were having so much fun. We were gonna go out and like we're gonna chase girls and just we were gonna have a blast. And that was what we did for that entire summer. But Vancouver, Canada, especially the Roxy, all the guys,
Special place in
every
your heart.
single one of the guys on that team will remember the Roxy for the rest of their life. And just like the memories from that. And then we'll go on the field. Probably like one of the coolest ones for me was like my last start in college.
Oh, okay.
It was like senior day, all that. It's like 100 degrees in Beaumont, and we're playing like Central Arkansas. But like I'm at this point, like I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get drafted. But like in the back of your head, until they call your name, you're like,
You don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm like, this is like potentially This is like potentially my last game personally. It's like my parents are there, my buddies came down, our Coach Cox came down, like a ton of people in the stands, and I'm like just caffeine like coursing through my veins. Like I'm about to ball. Like this is like I'm MJ in the finals right now. Like I have to go off. And first inning, punch the first two guys. Third guy comes up, I get him 0-2. And like the hardest pitch I think I've ever thrown in my life at this point was like maybe 94. Like I'd run up to like 94. And the catcher just goes like give it to me, you know? Like
rise it up, yeah.
And I'm like, all right, dude, like worst case I throw this to the backstop and it's 1-2. Like I'm gonna throw this ball as hard as I can. Same thing, rear back, put it right on his mask, swing and a miss. And I see our guys in the stands on the gun go like, oh. And our coach in the dugout are kind of looking around. They're like asking like, how hard was that? How hard was that? And they're like 96. And I was like, I saw him do it too.
Yeah.
I was like, I know I just let that rip. It's like that was like the hardest pitch I'd ever thrown. And I was like, that's fucking nuts. And I ended up going like 8 shutty, 10 punch outs, like the most strikeouts I've ever had in the game. Yeah, dude, absolute pitching clinic for like my last college game. And like a lot of people that were important to me were there to see it, you know, come off the mound, like I'm crying and everything like that. But that was probably one of my favorite memories of college. So we didn't really, at Lamar, we didn't really win a lot, you know. we weren't that good.
It's an awesome
So just going out there and like absolutely like balling and kind of like letting your nuts hang for like the last time you pitched in college was really cool.
Dude, yeah, that's a way to freaking dominate on the last on your mound
sick,
at the last time. Well, Jason, dude, I appreciate you coming all the way out here, all the way from Arizona. I know it's hard trip, but
miss it.
Yeah, dude. Hopefully we can have you on again, dude. And it's always a pleasure.
Hell yeah.
I'll see you next time.